It's a must-see video. A must-see. From Charlie Kirk. White guilt caught on camera. Black man brandishes a knife and makes death threats. White man calls cops. Police arrest black man for terroristic threats. White man begins to cry. I didn't want him arrested. He's going to think I did this because I'm white and he's black. This is what decades of official racial scapegoating and abuse produce. A weeping, pleading underclass that begs police not to protect it from dangerous criminals. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I will play for you this clip and then let's address the issue.
He was arrested and charged with simple assault and terroristic threats. Following his arrest, he was transported to the DeKalb County Jail.
Let's go to the squad car, please.
I want to point out, it is, I believe, 2 black officers arresting the black man who brandished a knife. This is from 2022, May 18th.
Why is it happening? I'm being arrested?
Yes.
For what?
For what?
I'll be with you in just 1 second.
Are you arrested?
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to fix the law.
But still, I will need for you to fill out a statement for him.
I don't want him arrested. I just want him to leave us
I
alone.
know, but he had a weapon on him, and it was terrorist threats.
Brandishing is not a crime with a knife. Brandishing is only a crime for a gun.
Terroristic threats, though, sir.
Because he said die to me and had his knife out?
What? All that was done. The threats, everything. Let me get a statement.
I thought you were going to arrest him. I wouldn't call. I just wanted to leave us alone.
I understand, but we still have a job to do.
Now he's gonna think I'm doing this because I'm white and he's black, or he's homeless and I'm not. I don't want that.
But did he do what he did?
Yeah, but I don't want him thinking I did it because he's in whatever situation he's in. I just want him to leave us alone.
I doubt that. I'll be right back, okay?
Oh, no. Oh, man. Talk about amazing. Yo, he literally cries.
I think I'm doing this because I'm white and he's black.
Yo, this guy came at you with a knife and threatened to kill you. What is up with these people? This is what religion looks like, okay? This is a non-theistic religion. This is a guy. I'll tell you, there's 2 things I think I see here. One, he's probably indoctrinated. So he's crying, oh, all my privilege. What have I done? There have been so many stories of people who are like, I don't want to call the police even though someone's breaking into my house. This could be one of them. There's another reality. It could be that this guy now knows he's on body camera and he had a black man arrested. Antifa is going to come to his house and they are going to destroy it. I think we should consider not that this guy is just some kind of low-T dude who's crying. I think that plays a role either way. I think he's terrified that activists will now come to destroy his life. And they will. And by crying and putting on this display, he can apologize, bend the knee to the mob and say, I'm so sorry, please forgive me. Because he didn't want to be a Karen. Because the body camera footage showed him saying, thank you, officer. They'd say, you're a collaborator. So instead, he'd say, no, what are you doing? This shouldn't happen. Now they're going to say, see, you shouldn't have called the police. He's going to say, I know, I was wrong. He'll feign outrage. He'll agree with the far left. And this is the current state of this country. Listen to that one more time.
I understand, but we still have a job to do.
Now he's gonna think I'm doing this because I'm white and he's black, or he's homeless and I'm not. I don't want that.
But did he do what he did?
Yeah, but I don't want him thinking I did it because he's in whatever situation he's in. I just want him to leave us alone.
I just want him to leave us alone. You know what this guy's saying? The cops come. They come to this guy with the knife and they say, just leave this nice couple alone. And he goes, okay. And he leaves. And then he goes up to another group of people with his knife. You see, that's why we arrest people who are threatening death with a deadly weapon. And this guy has the nerve to say, like, brandishing's only for guns, not for knives. These people just don't understand at all. And many of you probably do. Knives can be more dangerous than guns. Mythbusters did it. They had the test where one guy's got a knife and the other guy, it was like a sponge. And the goal was to try and hit someone with the sponge before they can draw and tag you with a laser. Sure enough, within 21 yards, these are 2 these guys are not fit. Within 21 yards, he was able to make contact with the sponge before the laser could touch him. And that was meant to signify within 21 yards, someone can get a knife into the officer or the individual before the gun can. In close range, knives, more deadly. But it depends. It depends. Obviously, if you're in, like, there's tons of people, guns are very, very deadly. We don't want this guy roaming the streets hurting people. But this guy who's crying cares more about his cult than he does at the safety of the people in his community. That's how insane things have gotten. Take a look at this. Penn State professor sues the college after he claimed he was forced to teach that the English language is racist and the embodiment of white supremacy. It's where we are. It's where we are. You know what? We talked about it last night. We had a member call in and say, evolution's broken. I said, no, it's not. Evolution's not broken. These people who would allow a violent person with a knife to roam their neighborhoods are less likely to survive. Evolution ain't broken. They're less likely to have kids, less likely to survive, more likely to get abortions, more likely to sterilize their kids. The crime that we see in these Democrat areas, more likely to hinder the life of the people who live there. The future's obvious. It's not about, it doesn't need to be overt. You need to understand it's just simple pressure. Pressure is all it is. If you have 10 people living, let's just say on an island, and 10 people living in the middle of the country, who's more likely to survive? Well, the island has pressures and finite resources, meaning over a long enough period of time, no matter what you do, there will be a finite amount of people on that island. Mainland, middle America, they could spread out. You will see a larger expansion. It's that simple. If in a city, the crime rate is 0.1% from the murder rate, that's all it takes. Out of 1,000 people, one person dies, reduces the amount of people that are available to procreate. Simple as that. So what we are seeing with abortion, with crime, with sterilization are epic levels of pressure being placed on urban liberals. This is why I've been saying get out of cities. You don't want to end up like this. I don't want to see our cities fall, but it's because of men like this crying that they likely will. Because when this person goes to a store and robs it, someone like him is going to say, don't arrest him, let him go. Then they'll go rob another store. Eventually they'll kill somebody. Somebody will get hurt, somebody will die. And that's where we're at. That is the current state of things. But where do we go? Where do we end up? Look, this guy crying is actually a good sign. It shows that things are actually turning around. You can mock the guy, you can make fun of the guy, I feel bad for the guy. But it shows us that we're reaching that critical mass. They're not going to be able to run their cities effectively. The cities will struggle, they will fall, and it's like this pendulum swing. When you look at big cities, I was reading about the history of Chicago, for instance, and you've got the inner city, they call it, and it's a bad neighborhood, a lot of crime, cheaper properties not taken care of. And they say it's because of white flight. That's what they call it. But here's what happens. You have wealthy people living in the city. Then for some reason, usually what happens is this. What I can speak for in terms of the modern era. People have kids. Those kids grow up in these neighborhoods. The kids get jobs and can't afford to live in the same neighborhood that's very expensive. So they move to an area that's slightly slightly less expensive. This is gentrification. The college kids move in, they buy properties for the cheap. As they get older, they make more money, make the properties nicer, new business moves in, the neighborhood becomes more expensive, taxes go up, pushing out the poor people. So where do? They go to the neighborhoods that were left behind, that are now in decline. And this is the pendulum swing. At one point, the cities were prominent and wealthy. People migrated to the suburbs. Then the cities became crime-ridden and the suburbs became wealthier. It's going to go back and forth. This could be what we're seeing is a larger swing in terms of rural versus urban, where cities in general are now suffering that downswing. San Francisco, for example, shutting down the mall, I should say surrendering the mall. The mall still exists. They surrendered the mall. They surrendered 2 major hotels. We're even seeing prominent liberals announce they're leaving San Francisco because of how bad it's gotten. So what do we see? Pendulum swing, baby. From blue areas to red areas, from cities to the countryside. Nobody wants to live in these hellscapes. And I blame guys like this. Now you can blame his upbringing, you can blame the system, but they vote for it. And this is where it brings you. Bravo, good sir. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up in a few minutes. Stick around and I'll see you all shortly.